There's been plenty of storms south of the system. It's still not quite organized, but the National Hurricane Center still feels this is going to become a Category 1 hurricane prior to making landfall, which, by the way, is looking a little bit more delayed because Barry has just been meandering slowly westward at about 4 miles an hour during the course of the afternoon. This is a 12-hour satellite loop, and you can see all the big convection has been, for the most part, south of this center of circulation. You can see center's roughly right about here. What we're going to be watching is for some of this convection to start wrapping around, but we don't see a whole lot of that quite yet. But there's a long night ahead of us. And notice all the big, deep convection even well to the south and west. And this would actually drag the system a little bit farther to the west. Sometimes the center will kind of co-locate where the heavier storms are. And the National Hurricane Center nudging their track ever so slightly to the west by a mile or two. That's all it's been. It's pretty much essentially the same track. Not going to make a big difference overall. So the center of circulation now, you see there's a little bit more in that deeper convection compared to north of the convection. So we're starting to see it getting a little bit more organized. The pressure has not dropped. Still 993 millibars. That's pretty much where it's been all afternoon and all evening long after hurricane hunters flew through this thing. And here's the forecast track. At 7 a.m., Category 1 storm, 75-mile-per-hour winds, and then working its way through coastal, we'll say St. Mary Parish. And remember, the track was a little bit more into St. Mary Parish, and then a little bit more of a northerly turn. This part of the track right by Lafayette is probably 2 to 3 miles farther to the west. And again, we've been saying pretty much paralleling Highway 90 and I-49 all the way up through Acadiana. And new tonight, still keeping it a tropical storm Sunday morning. They had it up here, up toward Monroe Sunday morning. So a little bit slower movement, and that is not good for us. That means heavy rainfall, especially along the track and east of the track, and we'll get to that in just a bit. No changes to the hurricane warnings at this point, so that's the good news. At least the National Hurricane Center doesn't believe this is going to go more than a Category 1 storm to, say, an 85 or 90 mile an hour storm. Then we'd see hurricane warnings in Acadia, Lafayette, and Upper St. Martin parishes, and we're not seeing that. Tropical storm warnings from the one side of the state to the other, and again, hurricane warnings for Vermilion, Iberia, St. Mary, Lower St. Martin Parish, and the parishes to the south and east, and of course out in the Gulf of Mexico. So here we go with the wind probabilities. These have updated the risk of tropical storm force winds pretty much for all of Acadiana. They are diminishing those winds a little bit more earlier up toward the Ville Platte area, but you're in the purple, that's 100% chance. Ville Platte, you're in a 90% chance of a tropical storm force wind. So just about all the way up through Alexandria, including all of Acadia, Vermilion Parish, and then the numbers drop off quickly over toward Lake Charles. You're in the 40 to 50% range, and even lower than that as you get over toward Vinton and into Texas. Now, the damaging winds, this has changed a little bit to a degree as well. The numbers starting to come up, but the main damaging winds, the hurricane says, really shifting that to the east of the track, down towards southern St. Mary Parish, 90%. 80% for Lower St. Martin and the rest of St. Mary Parish, edging into Iberia Parish, just east of the Laurelville area. Iberia Parish in the 70% range, Lafayette Parish in the 60% range. And this is where we start seeing the power outages, those winds that are 55 to 73 miles an hour. And this is for 1 minute peak wind gusts. So you'll get that in a tropical rain band where the winds will come up dramatically for a minute or two, and then they'll drop down. So that's where you'll see the greatest risk of power outages, mainly eastern portions of Acadiana, and most certainly as we get into the lower portions of southeastern portions of Acadiana. Hurricane risk has changed as well. That has dropped Lafayette from 20% down to 10%. That's the good news, but still at 20% across Iberia, St. Martin, Lower St. Martin Parish, and then edging into the 30% range for, say, right near Franklin, down toward the coast, the Glencoe area maybe. Might see that even all the way up through Sippermore Point. So still the risk of hurricane force winds. They're still present, and we'll watch how things develop overnight tonight. I've stayed up many of overnight and watched these storms explode and others not do anything more than what they're doing right now, and we may have a 65-mile-an-hour storm coming in. So here we have essentially what's going to happen along the coast. There's going to be a storm surge of 3 to 6 feet, most of the water coming out of the south, so inundation all the way through eastern Louisiana, all the way across through the Grand Isle area, and then we come back to the west and we'll see that your 3 to 6 feet includes Vermilion, also Atchafalaya Bay, and down through Timbaleer Bay to the mouth of the Atchafalaya River, and then 2 to 4 feet or less as you go back to the west because of northerly winds. Inundation levels here 3 to 6 feet. A lot of this is already March and has a lot of water in it, but it's going to come up several feet. So areas that such as camps that you can normally get to probably won't be able to get to them. Same goes as we get into the coastal portions of St. Mary Parish, 3, 4, 5, 6 feet over by Sippermore Point. And the problem with this is once the water comes in, we're going to have strong southerly winds all the way through Sunday evening as well. So the water is not going to evacuate out of here until Monday or Tuesday, and you may not be able to get to your location down here until Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. And again, the inundation risk much lower back to the west because we're going to have northeast winds, and they're going to be blowing offshore rather than inland. So we look at the European model, and this is where we're going to stop for right now. We have 3 segments coming up of weather information coming up, but the European model pretty much right on the Hurricane Center's track all the way through Acadiana, and it looks like this is going to be front-ended with the winds and then back-ended with the rains, and the rains are going to continue. All indications now that the flooding rains will begin tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening, continue all night tomorrow night, and more than likely into Sunday. Now, the forecast track on the Europeans farther to the west here. We think the center may be closer to Alexandria as we get into Sunday morning, but this model may be fast now based on the latest computer model guidance that we got from the National Hurricane Center. So coming up in the next weathercast, we're going to take a look at another model. We're going to show you the rainfall totals, and then we're going to get into the winds as well, all coming up in just a few short minutes.
Well, as we can imagine, preparations continue tonight around Acadiana as Barry gets closer to landfall.
In Acadiana's coastal parishes, flooding caused not only by rain, but storm surge is a major concern. Hunter Davis continues our team coverage from Abbeville.
On this side of the house is my biggest fear because
a fear felt by many in Vermilion Parish.
the water comes here, well, we're going to have more flash flooding.
Lisa Olive has lived in Abbeville for the last 25 years.
I've been through many of hurricanes.
And she is no foreigner to severe weather preparations.
First, we had to cut our grass and groom the yard, cut the loose branches down, get sandbags and water. We went shopping, we got our groceries, dry food.
Getting ready for the worst.
Now we got to start laying it all down when we get home.
Like many others in Abbeville.
You want to make sure all your stuff stays good. You don't want nothing to happen to your stuff. Work too hard to lose everything.
Which is why dozens of people stopped at the corner of Eliza Street and 330 to fill up sandbags to protect everything from homes to cars and even AC systems.
The Vermilion's already high, the ground's already saturated. So, yeah, we just wanted to be extra careful this time.
And even without the title of a hurricane, the message ahead of the storm from those in Abbeville is all the same.
Prepare for the worst and you pray for the best.
Be safe instead of sorry.
Hurricanes are not, you just can't take it lightly.
Hunter Davis reporting in Abbeville for us, and a parish-wide curfew has been issued for Vermilion Parish. It takes effect at 11 o'clock tonight and will last through 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. Well, search and rescue crews are staging in Iberia and St. Mary parishes in the event of a major flood. The crews will use airboats when called upon. They know water rescues at night will be the most dangerous, but they will still be ready to go at any time.
Shelters are now open in St. Mary Parish, the Berwick Civic Center, Baldwin Civic Center, and the Franklin Recreational Center. Katie Easter continues our team coverage from the Berwick Civic Center.
I'm in one of 3 shelters here in Morgan City. I'm at the Berwick Civic Center, where you can see there are plenty of cots still available. Now, these are available for anyone here in St. Mary Parish. They are equipped with cots, blankets, and limited food. But if you have special food or medicine requirements, you must bring your own. Of course, this is one of 3 here in Berwick Civic Center, the Baldwin Civic Center, and a Franklin Recreational Center near the old hospital. Now, these shelters opened Friday night around 7 p.m. and will be open all weekend. In Morgan City, Katie Easter, KTC TV3.
And right now in Iberia Parish, curfews are in effect in New Iberia, Delcombe, and Jeanerette. Gas stations across the parish running out of fuel as residents prepared for the storm. Sheriff's deputies are urging anyone who lives south of Highway 90 and in low-lying areas to move to higher ground before it's too late.
Yeah, I've been through them since 1957, so it's like you kind of get used to it, especially here.
Just because you've been through one and made it through that one doesn't mean the one that's coming right behind it's not going to be worse.
To St. Martin Parish now, residents and business owners alike spent the day protecting their property. In downtown Breaux Bridge, the owners of Cafe Sydney May moved patio furniture inside the restaurant. Most people at the restaurant today said they were going to be all set well before the 10 o'clock curfew there in St. Martin Parish. Most sandbag locations are now closed. In Lafayette alone, the city parish government stocked 5 locations as people prepared for the storm, one that's causing more unease than usual. Andrew Clay joins us in the tech center with that story tonight. Andrew.
The city roughly estimates that around 100,000 bags of sand were collected this week in Lafayette. Now, around 6 o'clock tonight, hundreds of people were still preparing for a storm that presents the biggest flood threat since 2016. Scoop by scoop, bag by bag, Acadiana is preparing for the worst.
How many bags of sand you getting today? Lost count.
From St. Mary to Evangeline and here in Lafayette, people could see 20 inches of water. A similar rainfall to what fell in 2016. Storms that FEMA says caused more than $700 million in damage.
About almost 2 feet of water, give or take, inside the house. So at the street, it was almost up to my hip. It was a total gut job on my house.
Michael Reinberger has lived in Acadiana for nearly 40 years. He grabbed his own sandbags and helped others. He says he wants to be prepared this time.
I wasn't as anxious prior to 16, but being one of those people that flooded, certainly understand the apprehension that some people have.
LCG estimates that it put down 100 dump trucks of sand this week. Reinberger far from the only one concerned this evening. Many still working to protect their homes and family.
My nephews, I don't want them to be stranded from this, lose everything. So I'm going to try and keep them safe.
It's in God's hands, hopefully he'll be gracious and, spare people.
Now in 2016, people saw as much as 30 inches of rain, more than the Barry models currently project. But as Rob has pointed out throughout the night, we could still see catastrophic flooding. For KATC TV3, I'm Andrew Clay.
And our coverage continues online. Check out the KATC app or visit us at katc.com/Barry.
Coming up, how the rest of the state is getting ready for Barry. We'll take you live to Gonzales coming up at 10:26.
But first, Rob is back with another update from the Weather Lab. You're watching a special hour-long edition of KATC tracking Tropical Storm Barry.
Get the KATC news and weather apps and stay on top of every story, every storm, every time, everywhere.
Make the easy drive to Arsenal Ford, where we salute those who serve.
Get 0% for 72 months on all F-150s.
Plus $750 cash back from military and first responders.
We make it easy to save at Arsenal Ford on Highway 90, just 10 minutes from Broussard.
Sunday, NFL legends feud with NFL All-Stars, and Steve Harvey runs a trick play.
What's your fondest memory at a strip club? That's not the question, I'm sorry.
New Celebrity Family Feud, Sunday, part of Summer Fun and Games on ABC.
Save big bucks
on big trucks. Get 0% for 72 months on all F-150s.
We make it easy to save at Arsenal Ford on Highway 90, just 10 minutes from Broussard, or online 24/7 at arsenalford.com.
Everyone who has ever lived has lived here. All of mankind's triumphs and failures. every moment, every hometown, all here. We start our coverage on the ground and take it to the airwaves, so you always know what's happening in your own world and beyond. We are free TV and radio. We are breaking news. We are always there. We are broadcasters.
From the KATC Weather Lab, here's Rob's forecast.
Welcome back, and welcome back to our continuing coverage of Hurricane Bill. This is an hour-long show here. We're going to be doing updates at the top of every hour overnight tonight, and then continuous updates. We will be doing news and weather once the storm begins to make landfall, and that looks to happen starting tomorrow morning about 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 o'clock in the morning, the way things are shaping up, because Barry is moving so slowly. Did I say Bill again? I said Bill again. I've been wanting to call this storm Bill all along. I want to call him Bill. You can call him Barry. Let's get to it, and let's get to the notes once again. Sometimes you get these blocks in the head. Yeah, it's been a long week already. I've had 14, 15-hour days since Monday, so please forgive me. One thing though we want to let you know about is the Vermilion River at Surrey. This has been dropped down because they cut off the Bayou Catawba feed. This was done proactively to bring down the water level on the Vermilion. I don't know how much is going to help us out, but we'll see. The projection by the National Weather Service up to 15 feet by Sunday afternoon, and it may go higher. You've got to remember back to the August 2016 flood. It reached 16.74 feet, so that's a 1.5 feet lower. But that is just a roughshod projection right now. That's based on probably 8 to 12 inches of rain. I think we see a little bit more than that in Lafayette. We'll have to wait and see. Here's the big picture with respect to radar. It's going to be a quiet night for the most of the night. I think we see some of these sporadic tropical rain bands that we're seeing over southeast Louisiana, over toward the Grand Isle area. They'll be pushing in with time, but the bottom line is not much weather going on. The breeze gradually picks up through tomorrow morning. Not much weather in the morning, but then things go downhill as we get closer to noon, and certainly it's going to be sooner for the coastal parishes. We'll say midday into the I-10 corridor, and then later than that farther to the north. And as we look at the big picture, it's hard to see where the heck is this tropical storm, and the actual center of circulation is right about over here, but we've had this other mid-level low pressure system kind of wrapping around, and that's producing all the intense lightning and more than likely 50, 60 knot gusts way out here away from the storm. But this moisture will continue to kind of follow around and feed into it. Again, the radars don't see much more than what we're showing you right here because of the curvature of the earth. So the beam is actually going up 40, 50,000 feet. And if it's hitting this stuff over here, this is probably topping out at 65,000 feet. So these are very intense thunderstorms way out here in the Gulf of Mexico. Bigger picture, and again, we'll throw on the wind particles. You can see where the center of circulation of Barry is at this point. Strongest winds indicated by the purple here on the southern and eastern flank, and that's the way it's going to go as this moves inland. I'm going to show you some of the wind products in just a bit. Now, if you missed it earlier, here's the heavy-duty thunderstorms. The convection has been mostly south of the system. The circulation getting a little bit more underneath the canopy of this convection or thunderstorm activity, so this could bode for some slow development overnight tonight through tomorrow morning, and that's what's in the forecast. 65-mile-an-hour winds right now. It's drifting to the west-northwest at about 3. No change in pressure now. Hurricane hunters are out. A new mission is going to get tasked to go out there probably about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, so we'll get new information for the 4 a.m. forecast package. The 10 o'clock package tonight, shifting the track just a little bit to the west from what we were looking at earlier. There's that Category 1 icon showing up on this particular run. We've been saying all along we expect it to become a low-end Category 1 hurricane, but anything between 70 and 75-mile-an-hour winds, not much of a change. It's still sporting 60-mile-an-hour winds as it goes through Lafayette Parish, and again, This is a slower run, 7 o'clock in the evening. Here we are 7 a.m. Sunday morning. Here we are at 7 p.m. Sunday evening, and we're going to have these wraparound rain bands. Most of the rain is going to be east of this system, and this is what we're going to remember this system for, the rainfall, and it's going to be on the eastern side and on the southern side of the storm. So first the wind, some shower activity, the typical stuff you see in a tropical storm, and then the heavy-duty rainfall. And then we showed you the European model earlier. I'm going to show you a different model now. This is the NAM 3-kilometer model. It's a much higher resolution model, but we haven't been able to show it to you over the last several days because it was overdoing it on pressure, and it may be doing the same here, but we're counting on pretty much that storm track bringing it down to St. Mary Parish, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then slowly meandering. This model run is a little bit farther to the east of the forecast track, but it gives you an idea on what the rain bands are going to look like, especially in the eastern quadrant of the storm. This model just coming in. In fact, I'm seeing it just with you first time through. So this bodes that some of the wind gusts are going to be higher than what I've been showing during the course of the evening. If you watched our newscast at 5 or 6, also all the way through the top of the hour cast, this is going to show you much higher winds. And then you see the rain bands coming on through, repeated rain bands through tomorrow night, through Sunday, and it continues through Sunday afternoon into the latter part of the afternoon, and we will still have some flooding issues more than likely through Sunday. Not the solid rains, but more training of tropical showers and thunderstorms across the area. And again, this goes all the way through Monday morning. Still, we're dealing with some locally heavy downpours, but things will be calming down as we get into the latter part of Monday and into Tuesday. Now, this computer model will just get us through Saturday at 5 o'clock. Oh, actually, I stopped it. It's going to get us to a limited time. Oh, this is the European model, so please, I'll show you the other model in just a bit, but this is the model that we trust the most. The European model, it's a steady model. It doesn't overdo the rainfall, but what will change is where the axis of the heavy rains are going to be. And this tomorrow night at this time, we're already going to see 5 to 10 inches of rain, and we get into the pink right here. That's 10 inches, and then you see the 15, 20 inches offshore, and it only expands. So it looks like, based on what the models are telling us, that the heaviest rains will be coming later tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night, all night tomorrow night into Sunday and Sunday afternoon. And after all is said and done, the storm totals are going to see a swath of 10 to 15 inches of rain, and this is exactly in concert with the National Hurricane Center, and there will be isolated amounts that push 15, 20, maybe even 25 inches of rain, and we see some enhancements there, 20 inch there, 25 offshore, and that could be anywhere from Acadiana on eastward. Don't pay attention to the specific numbers quite yet, but this gives you an idea that a foot of rain possible anywhere across Acadiana and off to the east, and I think the threat of heavy rainfall is going to be a little bit east of what the European model is showing right now, and maybe this whole axis moves eastward. No promises. We won't know what we're getting until we start seeing those rain bands move in, and that may not be until tomorrow afternoon or this time tomorrow night. So just be prepared for flooding. This could be devastating, catastrophic for some, and if you flooded in 2016, I'm giving about a 50-50 odds of that occurring again with this system. Hopefully we'll look at the glass as half full rather than half empty, and things change, but we have to plan on those heavy rainfalls. This is the high resolution rapid refresh model. This is the one that's limited. It gets us only till Sunday morning. But again, you can see how it's forming up and how that heavy rain axis, and this one likes the heavy rain axis a little bit farther to the east, so we'll be watching that very, very closely. Now, here's the wind forecast. I've blended two models together, the European model for the wind particles right here, and for the specific output, the NAM model that's showing the specific numbers and the winds. And this has been going back and forth, so somewhere the truth is going to lie with this particular model, and this one is certainly going for very strong winds across St. Mary Parish. These are wind gusts, not sustained, but gusts, and this is where the model's showing where the squalls are going to be. St. Mary Parish, first thing tomorrow morning, winds coming up. I don't think they come up this high, but we'll show you what we look at and how we evaluate it, but notice the winds are a lot higher than what we were showing you on the last model run. It gives us this windshield wiper effect. I know it's like, well, what is it going to be Rob, is it going to be 30 or is it going to be 60 or 50 or 70? And I'm going to say yes, it's going to be somewhere in between. Where in between, we can't tell you that, but you can see these wind gusts across the area are going to be 40, 50 miles an hour, and there may be some gusts to 80 in those tropical squalls. Certainly a possibility, but this model is, I think, overdoing it on the pressure. But just in case this becomes more than a 75 mile an hour storm, if it should become 85 mile an hour storm, now mind you, 12, 16 hours out, we could be off 10 or 15 miles on the intensity of the storm, and we'll see how things go overnight tonight. Hopefully this is worse than the worst case scenario, but you can see the winds stay up in the 50 to 60 mile an hour range tomorrow afternoon. They stay that way. Notice this model's got the center of circulation a little bit farther to the east, and the still gusts in the 60 mile an hour range all across the part of eastern Louisiana, and we'll still see gusts 40 to 50 miles an hour through tomorrow afternoon. And then you're thinking, well, things might calm down a little bit tomorrow night. But then we have these tropical squalls still going, so we still see 50 mile an hour wind gusts going into Sunday morning, and then even into the latter part of Sunday morning. Still gusts near 50. We see a couple of 50s still showing up at noon on Sunday, and that also indicates to me that we're going to have these tropical rain bands. The winds may not be this high, but that's what we're looking at. And then things finally beginning to calm down late Sunday. So this is the big graphic on the timeline, and we have not changed our thinking. 3 to 6 feet storm surge along the coast, definitely an enhanced risk of that, a high risk of that as we're in the shade of purple, high risk of 5 to 15 inches of rain area wide, 15 to 25 in some spots, and prepare for those tropical storm winds. We're going to have a little bit more coming up later on in the weathercast, so we'll be right back in just a little bit.
KATC's hunting and fishing forecast is brought to you by Ardco Equipment. When the only road is no road, it's Ardco Equipment.
It's the summer clearance event going on right now at Sterling Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Opelousas. Take a whopping $8,000 off the MSRP on a 2019 Dodge Charger CTP unit, or take $9,000 off the MSRP on all 2018 Jeep Grand Cherokees in stock. Buy a new 2019 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Classic, only $22,990. Don't forget the Sterling Advantage. We pick up and deliver for all your sales and service needs. Save big at Sterling Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Opelousas, or anytime online at saveatsterling.com.
Friends, if you haven't been to the historic going out of business sale at Olin's Furniture, what are you waiting for? Join the scores of families who have saved hundreds, even thousands of dollars on the finest brand name home furnishings. We're selling out completely at sacrifice prices. Handmade area rugs that add warmth and beauty to your home are an amazing 65% off. So don't wait a minute longer. Rush to Olin's Furniture, going out of business after 133 years.
4 years ago, Bobby Jindal left Louisiana in crisis.
We have a major budget crisis in Louisiana.
$2 billion shortfall.
Drastic cuts are feared. Higher ed and healthcare are facing deep cuts.
But under Governor Edwards' leadership, we've turned that deficit into a surplus.
This year's surplus. Saving safety net hospitals, nursing homes.
TOPS is fully funded.
Teacher and pay raises.
Higher ed is fully funded.
And while there's still work to do, Governor Edwards is leading Louisiana in the right direction.
The National Guard is ready to respond after Barry pushes through Acadiana. Soldiers are staging today at Paulboro Middle School. It's one of many sites in Lafayette where soldiers are on standby awaiting orders. Another area, the National Guard is now deployed in the Baton Rouge area, waiting there as well.
The Lamar Dixon Expo Center in Gonzales is now serving as a shelter tonight. Let's head out there live and join Chris Welty with the story. Chris.
Hey, Jim, Marcel, things are fairly quiet here at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center in Gonzales, Louisiana. The Louisiana National Guard catching up on some much needed rest before Barry comes ashore. As the sun sets on the Mississippi River, utility crews are moving to their staging areas across Baton Rouge. Further east on I-10, the Louisiana National Guard staging at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center, one of several areas where soldiers are preparing for Barry.
Well, we probably got over 200 people here right now, and it's mission dependent on wherever the storm goes, so we'll flex wherever they need us.
Sergeant Major Billy Myers says here in Gonzales, more than 100 school buses are on standby to deploy should evacuations or rescues happen. Myers says if needed, the buses will shuttle residents to one of several shelters in the state.
We did familiarization training on them. We checked them all out, got ready for our mission.
A mission Myers says the Guard is ready to serve.
We'll hunker down with our soldiers, and as soon as it's safe to move about, then we're going to get out there and we're going to do what we got to do.
And while Myers is serving his state, his family back home in Eunice isn't far from his mind.
My wife and my family, I've been in over 30 years, so they're used to it, and every time they call, we go. So we do, here to protect and serve. Anything we can do to help citizens of Louisiana.
And moments ago, we did get a few of those tropical downpours here at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. And some of the soldiers, they did wake up, but they are trying to get as much rest as possible before Barry comes ashore tomorrow. Live in Gonzales, I'm Chris Welty for KATC TV3.
Just into our newsroom, UL delivering meals to all students staying on campus during Barry. According to the university's Twitter post tonight, dining, transportation, housing, and ULPD sent 3 meals and bottled water to those students. University buses are delivering the food and water right now.
Well, stay with us, everyone. Our extended Acadiana's News Channel at 10 o'clock continues right after this quick break.
We're about to show you an amazing demonstration. Every one of these Nissans has Pro Pilot Assist, game-changing tech that helps keep you centered in your lane and adjusts your speed to help keep your distance. It can even help you stop and start without ever touching a pedal. Your highway commute is about to get easier.
This is amazing.
Pro Pilot Assist, available in 4 of Nissan's most popular models. For a limited time, save up to $3,000 or get a low $239 per month lease on the 2019 Nissan Altima.
Coming this fall to our sister station, KATC CW 3.2, Acadiana CW.
Yes, Brown's Furniture has available at their fingertips every Lazy Boy recliner that's made, plus every reclining sofa and every reclining sectional. But what you may not know is that Brown's also has a large selection of lift chairs, along with great heat and massage lift chairs, dual motor lift chairs, and MetLift lift chairs. We make it our business at Brown's to offer the best lineup of motion, power, and lift chair furniture. So shop Brown's and make comfort your priority.
President Trump turned America's economy around, cutting taxes, creating jobs.
We have created 5.3 million new jobs.
While American workers get ahead, Louisiana gets left behind. Democrat John Bell Edwards raised taxes, just the opposite of Trump. And now we pay, ranked dead last. The worst state for jobs. No wonder our workers are leaving. Tens of thousands gone. Higher taxes, lost jobs. That's John Bell Edwards. Paid for by RGA Right Direction PAC.
We're celebrating 31 years of remarkable journeys and incredible outcomes at the Aspen Clinic.
I was nervous to call the Aspen Clinic, but I was so glad I did.
The staff went out of their way to make me feel comfortable.
And to design a program that was realistic for me.
They not only taught me how to lose weight, but how to keep it off.
I learned the importance of real food and the benefits of all natural supplements and injections.
Save $1 for every pound you lose.
Results guaranteed.
I love the Aspen Clinic.
And welcome back, everybody, to the second half of this extended edition of Acadiana's News Channel at 10. We are continuing to track Barry. And Rob, we've been just getting word that Entergy in Acadia Parish is actually having some power issues. Crews are out there right now trying to assess the situation. About 500 customers.
Yeah, they say they're working on it, trying to figure out what's going on with that. But Rob, let's talk about some specifics here. What about people who live in mobile homes? What should they be prepared for?
I've got a lot of messages on that. I've been looking at your Facebook messages. I can't answer them all, but one, I don't think anybody should be staying in a mobile home at this point. Again, manufactured homes. Some manufactured homes are built very well, but they're also a little bit more susceptible to high winds and trees coming down and that sort of thing. So you want to get in more substantial shelter. You're okay tonight, but make plans get out tomorrow first thing in the morning perhaps. Winds will be gradually coming up throughout the day, so keep that in mind. I always tell people to take surveys of trees around their home. What trees look like, boy, that thing's leaning a lot, you know, boy, that could be problematic. And we've had our most fatalities in the last couple of hurricanes. You go back to Lily, Gustav, Rita, with trees falling down on homes. And people, unfortunately, that thought they lived in Lafayette, I can remember with Gustav, they went up to Ville Platte. And the tree fell down on them in Ville Platte. So if I don't recommend evacuation, this is not an evacuation situation unless you're in a flood zone. And my wife is staying home so she can pick up furniture in case that is a certain possibility. But we have people that could pick her up and take her out once if that would threaten. So keep that in mind. If you're in a low-lying area, you probably want to get out. You don't want to be part of a water rescue or have the Cajun Navy come in and get you out of there. So that's the bottom line. And the greatest threat of the flooding rains are going to come tomorrow night. So keep that in mind. It's not going to be tomorrow morning. It's going to be starting tomorrow afternoon. But as we head into this time tomorrow evening, all night tomorrow night, and there's nothing worse than flooding at nighttime hours. It's not bad that we're having a tropical system move through during the day. That's cool. We don't get to see that too often. Usually they come in nighttime because there's a little bit less friction for the storm to move in. But this one's going to come in during the day. But the heavy rains are going to come at night. And traditionally with tropical systems, we see what we see going on right here, the bursting and the thunderstorms and convection fire up as the upper atmosphere cools at 50, 60,000 feet, and that normally happens at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and that's when you get your major flooding. So that's maybe the way this one plays out, with not a whole lot of flooding rains until tomorrow night. So something that we'll have to watch very closely. Now, updating you once again, I had a chance to read the discussion that's the behind-the-scenes discussion associated with the latest track, and again, we showed you earlier. Notice the center was not in the deep convection, but now it's getting in there, so it's getting more organized. Despite that drier air coming in earlier in the process, going back to yesterday and earlier today, the system seems to be sealing itself off, and that means it's going to get slowly more organized. And I would be willing to bet we have a 65-mile-an-hour storm right now. 75 seems like a pretty good bet, if not maybe even a little bit higher. But limiting factor near the coast, a lot of time you get, you want to see the convection bursting around, but you get near the coast, you get some friction. But again, most of this part of Louisiana is flat and water filled, so it's still essentially the ocean right here. And water temperatures out in the ocean pushing upper 80s to near 90, and water temperatures in the marsh pushing upper 80s to near 90 over the last several weeks. So water temperatures in the Gulf have actually been running ahead of schedule, about a month ahead of schedule, and running about 1 to 3 degrees above normal. But that's what the Gulf has been doing for the better part of the last 10 years or so, and that's why we've had so many years. 5 of the last 10 years, we've had the hottest years on record. So with all that being said, here's Tropical Storm Barry, 65-mile-an-hour winds. We think it gets up to 75 or maybe a little stronger at landfall. I wouldn't count that out quite yet. And then a tropical storm as it moves inland, and a very respectable tropical storm across all of Acadiana. And we haven't seen winds like this going back to Hurricane Gustav. We had Isaac back in 2012, but the track was more over here, and we didn't have much more than 30 or 40-mile-an-hour winds. Gustav came in pretty much in this direction, came in a little bit more from the southeast to the northwest, and it did its most damage up here in St. Landry, up to Avoyelles Parish. So if you ever think about evacuating, and this is not an evacuation storm, you want to go to Shreveport, or better yet, Dallas. You want to get way out of the storm's path, because this heavy rain axis is also going to be heading up toward Memphis, perhaps Nashville down the line. So you want to get way out of the path of the storm, and I always recommend going toward the drier climates to begin with. So again, with this being said, the forecast track very close to earlier, shifted just a little bit to the left, but this brings the center of the storm right over Jeanerette, right over New Iberia, right over Lafayette to Breaux Bridge or Poche Bridge, and then right up through Opelousas, the Washington area, and then straight on up through central Louisiana, still as a tropical storm. So again, the European model, we're going to go with this, and this is the way we think it's going to play out, and maybe a little fast based on the latest guidance, because Barry has been meandering out in the Gulf. Heavy-duty rainfall along and east of the center and on the southern fringe of this system, and that's going to continue well into Sunday, early Monday, and then things begin to quiet down as we head into Monday afternoon, but lingering rains Monday, and then more of a summer scenario, and we'll get a little sun starting Tuesday of next week. Hopefully you enjoyed that sunset tonight. It was a very pretty tropical sunset. So here's the European model rainfall, and we're not going to deviate from what it's telling us with these contours of 10 to 15 with isolated 15 to 25 inches of rain. But what's going to change, likely change, where does this go? Does it get displaced to the west? Remember, the European model brings the center up to Natchitoches. If the center goes more to the east, this is going to be displaced a little bit more to the east. But we do know the southeastern parishes, and on this particular model, I think Morgan City is getting underserved and underdone. Now, the winds, we showed you the winds. This is that NAM model. These are the wind gusts, and the winds picking up tomorrow. This may be the high end of the gusts. You really have to have tropical rain bands to get the gusts going, but as we indicated, there could be gusts to hurricane force in some of those tropical squalls, especially eastern portions of Acadiana, out across the basin and on the other side of the basin, where this latest model is going for 80 or 85 mile-an-hour winds at times, and the center of the storm on this model is farther to the east, and this is what we have to deal with. The storm track has been over here, it's been over here, it's been over here, so that's going to go back and forth, and we really don't know how it's truly going to play out until all is said and done. But tropical storm force winds all day long tomorrow, maybe a little of abatement from time to time, but as long as you have those tropical rain bands, you're going to see gusts of 40 to 50 mile-an-hour winds, and that's what does damage. You got to bring in the lawn furniture, the garbage pails. You got to make sure all the big potted plants are secure, anything that will blow over. So that's the big thing. And again, once again, Tropical Storm Barry, here's your timeline. This is posted online, KATC.com, and our social media pages. Be prepared for those winds gusting. Be prepared for power lines to go down, trees to go down, and power outages, maybe widespread power outages, and anywhere between 5 and 25 inches of rain. 5 inches to the west, 15 inches Lafayette on eastward, and 15 to 25 inches in some of those hot spots down the road. And we'll finish it off at least on a positive note, because 8 of the 10 days are good-looking days on the 10-day forecast. The first 2 leave a lot left to be desired, but that is the risk that we have here in southern Louisiana, and the statistics have been saying that, unfortunately, we are looking at the statistics catching up with us, as we have not had a direct hurricane hit in 11 years, going back to Hurricane Gustav.
And Rob, we're going to give you a chance to do your best Daniel Phillips impression right now. Take a look at this video. This is coming in from Lafourche Parish today. This is Golden Meadow, Louisiana. Some
water
cars
already
out
over
there,
the roads.
all over the roads down there. Yes, that's right on the coast, really far down there in Lafourche Parish.
That's ocean water.
Yeah, but it's a good reminder, looking at this video, you know, we could be seeing flooding like this in some streets in Acadiana.
Correct.
Don't drive on it. Don't take a risk.
Don't drive on. Can you see the
stay
road
at home.
here?
Not
you
at all.
can't see the road here. If you cannot see the road, you don't know where the ditches are, and then be mindful about leaving a wake. That's the Daniel Phillips law here in Acadiana. Do not create a wake. You drive your car. If you're driving through high water, you're going at 1 to 2 miles an hour, just like you would in a boat.
Yeah,
okay,
don't be a news story. That's all we can ask out of everybody out there. And rescue crews across Acadiana will be ready in St. Mary Parish and Iberia Parish, for instance. They'll be up all night, expecting calls early in the morning. Chris DiMaria shows us how crews in Jeanerette are staying at the ready. He continues our team coverage.
These boats are on their trailers right now, but it won't be long before they are in the water making rescues. Crews on standby all night, ready to go wherever they're needed. Airboats and shallow water boats brought in with 20 crew members for Barry's arrival. Search and rescue teams, knowing the water rescues at night will be the most dangerous, are ready to go at any point. They expect the first round of calls to come in the early morning by people who haven't yet left. High winds and rain, even before Barry makes landfall, could prompt those calls. Tony Wade says they could be from people who remember the floods in 2016, but have still stayed for various reasons.
I've seen on both sides of the fence. Some of the guys that were really flooded back in 2016, they're just thinking that was a once in a 100-year storm that's not going to happen again. Well, it's high possibility it's going to. The guys on this end didn't experience it, so they haven't been through that yet. And they're just really undermining the storm. They just don't think it's going to be as bad as it's going to be.
As early as 5:30 in the morning, these motors could be firing up, ready to go wherever and whenever, as long as the wind permits. In Jeanerette, Chris DeMaria, KATC TV3.
Well, in Vermilion Parish, some hurricane veterans will be riding out Barry at home. One woman we spoke with says she's been through many hurricanes, and Barry doesn't scare her one bit.
First, we had to cut our grass and groom the yard, cut the loose branches down, get sandbags and water. We went shopping, we got our groceries, dry food.
And while sandbag locations are mostly closed right now, many people are still collecting sand, or were collecting sand just a few hours ago. According to LCG, they put down about 100 dump trucks worth of sand. Residents telling us there is more unease ahead of Barry because so many flooded back in 2016.
I wasn't as anxious prior to 16, but being one of those people that flooded, certainly understand the apprehension that some people have.
For details on sandbagging sites, curfews, and the latest on tracking Barry, no matter what device you're using, we are there. Our app, visit katc.com/Barry, and our social media sites as well. We are with you now through the aftermath of Barry.
Yeah, I'd say so. Busy few days ahead. We have more coverage on this extended edition of KATC. We are tracking Barry. We leave you right now with a live look at the Riverwalk in New Orleans. You can see the surge coming up on the Riverwalk there. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do you turn the TV up too loud? Do you have trouble hearing in noisy environments? Do you have ringing in your ears? Miracle Ear invites you to participate in our Genius 3.0 focus group. Call now. Qualified participants will receive a $25 Visa gift card, free hearing exam and consultation, and you will know immediately if this new technology would work for you. Call now. 36 spots available this week. Don't delay. Miracle Ear. Hear a better day.
Hey, that's Greg, the Go Auto guy. Hey, Greg, can you really save us money on our car insurance?
You bet I can. Let's compare rates and get a quote. Just answer a few simple questions. Call to get a quote, go online, or come into any Go Auto store.
Wow, you can save me money. I want in.
So just give us a call.
Who is that?
Only my new best friend.
Ready, set, go.
If you think lawyers only care about money, think about this.
Have you ever noticed how we never talk about dollar amounts in our commercials?
There's a simple reason for that. We don't like it.
Our clients need money, and we work to get it for them. That's a given. But at Dudley DeBosier, we're about way more than that.
We go beyond just dollar figures. Our clients know their lives are what we care about the most. Demand Dudley DeBosier, 444-4444.
The all-new GMC Sierra with the revolutionary Multi-Pro tailgate is the South Louisiana pickup driver's new best friend. With 6 functions that adapt to your needs like never before, the Sierra tailgate sets a standard that every other truck wishes they could live up to. Work, play, and live like a pro with the all-new Multi-Pro tailgate from your South Louisiana Buick GMC dealers.
Are you ready to save big? Yeah, you. The carpool driving, crossfitting, building, and making warriors. Eyewear Express owns selection, price, and speed. Glasses you need. Quality you deserve. Every day, all day, 2 day. Need single vision? Get 2 pairs for just $38.71. Progressives 2 for $76.92. That's right. You want it? We've got it. Selection, price, speed. Nobody beats us, guaranteed. Eyewear Express. Right glasses, right price, right now.
And welcome back, everybody. We are continuing this special edition of KATC as we track Barry. And one thing we want to talk about right now are power outages, a common occurrence whenever we have tropical storms or hurricanes. Going without air conditioning and food refrigeration can be dangerous and expensive. So right now, do yourself a favor, look around your house, make sure you're prepared for the possibility of a power outage.
We do suggest that people prepare and plan for possible power outages by stocking up batteries, charging their cell phones, making sure that they have a car charger to back up, when their phone runs out of power, to charge it in their phone if need be. And call us if they have a problem, and we'll be out as soon as we can to put the power back on.
And earlier we told you about some shelters that are opening in St. Mary Parish, and that could be an occurrence throughout Barry in more and more areas. And the Red Cross is offering volunteer training. It's in preparation for the storm, of course. They're teaching volunteers how to help open and run emergency shelters.
The queue is open online for anyone who would like to volunteer. We are going to need hundreds of volunteers across the state, both in Lafayette, Alexandria, Baton Rouge. Wherever you're at, you can go to redcross.org and volunteer.
And stay with us, everyone. Rob's back again with some new rainfall projections for Barry. We'll be right back.
This month on Grit.
Go ahead and shoot. From now on, we ride together.
What's going on out there is a disgrace.
It's not freedom they want, it's ransom.
Bullets are very democratic. They kill good men as well as bad.
Grit television with backbone.
Make this summer a Silverado summer in an all-new 2019 Chevy Silverado from Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Take $13,000 off the MSRP on a brand new 2019 Silverado Crew Cab. That's $13,000 off the all-new 2019 Silverado. From Louisiana's #1 Chevy dealer 5 years in a row, where you always get bigger savings on a better selection. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, 1212 Ambassador Caffrey near I-10, or online at servicegm.com.
Hi, Phil with Folks. Let's check out the good stuff. We have a full line of Alpine and Rockford Fosgate. We also have the latest radar detectors, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto true hands-free. We're an authorized dealer for all of these products, which means we do the job right. Folks also has tinting available. We use the latest technology, computer-cut, machine-generated patterns for the perfect fit. We also have Lumor true ceramic tint available and platinum paint protection film. So if you want the best, where do you go? You go to Folks. Go to Folks, go to Folks, go to.
Paid spokesperson. Attention. This is a legal alert for anyone who has used Roundup Weed Killer and been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. If you used Roundup Weed Killer and have been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, you may be entitled to significant compensation. A multi-million-dollar verdict was recently awarded to a man whose non-Hodgkin's lymphoma was linked to Roundup Weed Killer. If you used Roundup Weed Killer and were diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Call now.
Having trouble finishing out the week? Tonight, Kimmel's got you covered with the hilarious Tracy Morgan.
I love it!
Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. And Gwen Stefani's new backup dancer is bananas.
Do I regret hiring Guillermo? Absolutely.
Kimmel, tonight on ABC.
You asked for it, we've got it. Bordelon's 3 free sale. Get this 7-piece table set for only $488. Buy the sofa or love seat for only $450. Buy the matching recliner for only $349. Buy this queen bed, dresser mirror, and nightstand for only $588. Don't forget this queen size aloe vera infused mattress for $588. Buy it all, tax-free, interest-free, and delivered free. All 3 locations of Bordelon's Home Furnishing. Jennings, Crowley, or Marksville.
Welcome back for continued coverage as we continue to track Barry. You know, Rob, one of the things we wanted to ask you, you flooded in 2016. Right. Is there anything that, you know, flooding is a real concern over the next few days. Is there anything that you wish you had done before the flood that maybe people can do tonight?
Yeah, thought about getting my furniture up off the ground, you know, and we still have a lot of paint cans left over from painting just a little less than 3 years ago. So my wife and my daughter, you know, I'm stuck here. Right. They were planning on putting the furniture up on paint cans in the house. So you want to get stuff up off the ground. We start in the garage because that's the lowest lying area. That if anything gets wet in there, we're not going to sweat it. But once you get into your home, instead of I had wall-to-wall carpeting that came out after the flood, throw carpets. Pick those, roll those up, and you can put them up anywhere. And your valuables. We had some pictures that got wet in the storm. You want to get your you can't replace. I got a computer on the floor that I got to put up on the desk. That sort of thing. You want to protect the valuables in your home, and don't, you know, if you're in a flood zone where you had 5 or 6 feet of water, there are a lot of folks that don't know how to swim. you know, it's not a bad idea to have a life jacket. We issue them to our reporters when they're on the field for a reason, for safety reasons, and that is kind of important. And then when you're wading through the water, you always have to be on the lookout for snakes.
Right.
Yeah.
Wildlife.
And maybe sewage as well, because that backs up as well. Let's get into it. I want to show you just one more thing. We're going to show you the RPM model, which hasn't been doing a good job, but it's starting coming with pretty good rainfall estimates. And again, if you missed it earlier, Barry getting a little bit more organized. The convection is getting over the center of the storm. So we do expect probably by the 1 a.m. update, maybe a strengthening to 70 miles an hour based on satellite estimates. We're not going to have a hurricane hunter in here until right around 1, but most of the hurricane hunter data will be done between about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But center of the storm now, getting underneath the convection, starting to look a little bit more like a tropical system. And again, still expecting landfall as a Category 1 hurricane, still a very strong tropical storm as it goes through Acadiana. And as we showed you with those wind estimates, it's going to mean some pretty strong winds. And here again is the NAM model. And I just looked at the pressures on this, and this brings this down to a solid Category 1, maybe with 90-mile-an-hour winds. So the wind estimates I showed you earlier, probably way off, but it gives us an idea on the rain bands that this is going to be weighted on the eastern side of the storm. This particular run, because it's deepening the storm, it's also turning it to the right. So the storm center is not going to be here. It's going to be more displaced closer to Lafayette rather than Baton Rouge. But as I said earlier in one of my cut-ins during the course of this evening, every tropical storm, every hurricane is a box of chocolates, and you never know what you're going to get until you start seeing these rain bands move in. And where do those rain bands set up? Where are we seeing the highest wind? So we're going to shift away from the models gradually overnight tonight and start working the radar and watching the rain bands. And that's how we work it. It becomes what we call a nowcast rather than a forecast. But the bottom line, the threat of heavy rainfall will continue through Sunday morning into Sunday afternoon, perhaps into Sunday evening before things calm down. And it may work its way into early Monday morning with still some very heavy tropical showers. Here's the latest Euromodel run. As we showed you, we think we're going to see a solid 10 to 15 inch rainfall, if not more. Now, the RPM model, which usually does an excellent job on rainfall, doesn't do a good job on the tropical systems, and it actually has the storm going up this way, but it does give us an idea on the rainfall. And this is the latest 4-kilometer model run, indicating that we get through Sunday evening and there are going to be spots with 10 to 15 inches of rain. The details here are going to be different, but what we look for from model to model, and I've shown 4 tonight during the course of the night, they all are going for a foot or more of rain in spots across the area. And again, the Euro was going 17 or 18 in Lafayette. This one's saying close to a foot. The bottom line, it doesn't matter how much rain you get, it's the rain rate. And the rain rate in this system tomorrow evening, tomorrow night into early Sunday could be as high as 3 to 4 inches per hour. And you get that in 2 to 3 hours, you're going to have flooding no matter how good your drainage is, or in some cases, how poor the drainage is. Once again, this is your timeline right here. Again, prepare for tropical storm conditions, power outages, the whole 9 yards that comes with a tropical storm. And after tomorrow, still the lingering storm threat and flood threat as we go into Sunday. Monday, the rain chances finally come down, and Tuesday into the middle part of the week, hopefully some normalcy down the line, and that's what we all wish for when we have these tropical systems. That's it from our end of the weather department. Now back over to you guys. Jim, Marcel.
All righty, thank you, Rob. Well, how about a light note?
Yes.
You know, we've been talking about so much. Barry is forcing thousands to change their plans this weekend, of course.
Yeah, and for one couple in St. Mary Parish, that included one of the most important days of their lives. Katie Easter has their story.
And we always said, you tie a knot and it gets wet, it just gets stronger, it gets tighter. So, I mean, and they say, good luck on your wedding day is rain. We got a hurricane.
As Barry brings in strong winds, this young couple says their love is stronger. John Paul and Maria getting married just hours before Barry strikes.
My grandparents were married for 69 years, and they got married on a hurricane. So during a hurricane as well. So I take it as good luck sign. And
as Barry moved closer, moving the wedding got harder.
It was just so unpredictable. We had no idea what to do. So we just said, well, we're going to have faith and we're going to go with it. So.
And canceling.
We didn't cancel because we're getting married. You don't cancel a marriage. You don't cancel a wedding under any conditions.
Rain or shine, this bride says she was ready.
Took a deep breath and I was like, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we get to be married and nothing's going to stop that. And I'm grateful that we didn't change anything, we didn't fix it. I'm just ready and I'm glad it's here.
And tying the knot, they did. In Morgan City, Katie Easter, KTC, TV3.
Yeah. Congratulations to them. Hey, and you know, rain is good luck. Maybe a tropical storm or hurricane
even better luck.
Is even better luck. May they be blessed with a long life and happiness. Now, not much happiness in our future. I'll take that back. I got 10 weather geek friends that just dig these storms. They stay at home with their 12-pack and enjoy it as long as it's not going to flood. And you know who you are I'm talking about. You know who you are because you're texting me nonstop and I can't answer all of your texts.
Jealous, Rob.
Yeah, I am jealous.
Incredibly.
That is my retirement dream, to sit in the backyard and watch the next tropical storm or hurricane, but that is still probably a decade away. Again, we'll be watching the track overnight tonight. We're doing updates in the weather department on the top of every hour. We'll be running pertinent crawl information on the bottom of the hour, the half hour, through the overnight hours, and then starting probably with GMA. I don't think we're going to go on much earlier than that, but starting at 4:30 in the morning, things will start to be deteriorating. Again, you can see that 7 a.m. position is bringing that system right on coastal St. Mary Parish, and tomorrow is going to be a long broadcast day for us, and it's going to be a long broadcast watching day for you at home. And again, remember, we're not only on TV. If the power goes out, you got your cell phone. Make sure your cell phone is charged. Have a battery backup on that cell, because we're broadcasting on the KTC app. We're also broadcasting on Facebook as well. As many ways as you can get us, we're sending it out there. And again, all the questions and concerns that we see coming through Twitter and Facebook, can't answer them all, but I'm looking at them and trying to answer as many as I can on the air, and that's how we will proceed as we head into tomorrow as well. And tomorrow, send us your pictures, send us your experiences. They may show up on the air, but we're also going to be covering the storm very seriously, and we take this very, very seriously as a threat to life and property, and that's what tropical storms and hurricanes do. Now, this is not, fortunately, this is not a Category 3 or 4 storm, but it's going to produce some devastating flooding, and exactly where we still cannot tell you. I did have a couple of emails, people really concerned. I was frightening their children because they remembered the 2016 flood, and we'd be remiss if we can't compare it to it, because it is kind of it's the reality that it is comparable, but maybe you won't flood this time, and folks that didn't flood might flood this time. That's the nature of Mother Nature. It kind of equals everybody out. Hopefully you have flood insurance and are prepared, and we told you how to get prepared as well for that, and be prepared for the power outages, because information is the key to being ahead of the storm. So you want to stay informed and have your phone charged up at 100% at all times.
Some good advice. They'll be seeing a lot of us over the next few days, but also some
Sorry
new faces
that.
as well. We have a lot of people in town from our sister stations across the country helping us out with our coverage, and they're doing a great job.
They
so
really
far.
are.
So we can't stress it enough. Everybody stay safe. We're going to be here, and we hope you'll be joining us for our coverage.
We tell you, we are everywhere. We mean it, all throughout Acadiana and on our social media app, katc.com. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Make the easy drive to Arsenal Ford, where we salute those who serve.
Get 0% for 72 months on all F-150s.
Plus $750 cash back for military and first responders.
We make it easy to save at Arsenal Ford on Highway 90, just 10 minutes from Broussard.
Honey, you feel so soft and sweet.
Charmin Ultra Soft.
It's softer than ever. Charmin Ultra Soft is twice as absorbent, so you can use less. And it's softer than ever, so it's harder to resist.
You'll always be my lover till the end of time.
Okay, this is getting a little weird. We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
4 years ago, Bobby Jindal left Louisiana in crisis.
We have a major budget crisis in Louisiana.
$2 billion shortfall.
Drastic cuts are feared. Higher ed and healthcare are facing deep cuts.
But under